I'm calling to order this hearing. This is a public hearing of the Committee of the Whole. I am Phil Mendelson, Chairman of the Committee of the Whole, as well as Chairman of the Council. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2019. The time is 4:10 in the afternoon. There is one item for consideration at this public hearing, and it is Bill 23-317, which is entitled Go-Go Official Music of the District of Columbia Designation Act of 2019. This legislation was introduced by Councilmember McDuffie, along with a number of other council members, on June 4th of this year. The stated purpose of this bill is to designate go-go music as the official music of the District of Columbia and to require the mayor to implement a program to support, preserve, and archive go-go music and its history. There are a large number of witnesses who signed up to testify, and in accordance with the hearing notice, witnesses will be limited to 3 minutes each. There's a clock at the table, and it will show you the time remaining when you're testifying, and I will ask people to end their testimony when the clock expires. The record in this matter will close at 5 p.m. on November 13th. That's 2 weeks from today. Anybody who wishes to supplement their remarks, anybody who isn't testifying and wants to submit comments, anybody can submit comments until 5 p.m. on November 13th, 2019. I'm not going to say much more in the introductory remarks. I'm going to recognize my colleague, Mr. McDuffie, if he has an opening statement, and then I'll call witnesses up. Mr. McDuffie?
Thank you, Chairman Mendelson. I want to thank you for having this hearing today. Importantly, I want to thank all the folks who came down this evening to testify. I have a long statement that I had intended on reading, but because we're getting started a little late and I want to make sure we get through to witnesses who took the time to come down, I'm not going to read the entire thing. I do want to say that when I introduced this bill, it got tremendous support from the members of the Council of the District of Columbia, and I think it is a testament to their recognition of how important go-go is to the District of Columbia. It is important for me, as somebody who represents Ward 5, who grew up here, born and raised in the District of Columbia, to have this opportunity for you all to come and really add to the record about how important go-go music is to the District of Columbia. To me, and I imagine a lot of folks in this room, it's more than simply a genre of music. It is a lifestyle. It is the sound of the city. It is woven into the fabric of the District of Columbia. And in my opinion, DC doesn't have culture without go-go music, right? And there's an opportunity for a lot of folks who are in this room who have contributed to making go-go what it is. I won't name names. They're going to come up here and tell you the names themselves. But it is important enough to say that when Donald Campbell was asked to turn his music off at the Metro PCS on Florida Avenue and 7th Street in Northwest, it really was the spark that lit the wildfire of this movement. Don't Mute DC, Long Live Go-Go. It brought thousands of people together. In fact, in times that I've gone down there, I saw people who I hadn't seen in years. That's the power of go-go. And so I appreciate you, Chairman Mendelson, for holding this hearing. We want to make go-go music the official music of the District of Columbia, and we want to make sure that we're doing more than simply celebrating the music with a hearing. We want to cement it and lift it up to its rightful place in the District of Columbia by making sure that we take steps to archive it, preserve it, and protect it well into the future. So again, thank you all for being here. I look forward to hearing testimony from the witnesses.
Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie, and I think I said this before, that you were the principal author of this legislation. Thank you for that, and it was co-introduced by all 13 members of the council. I'm going to call members up 4 at a time. Ron Moten, who's with Don't Mute DC, Michelle Blackwell, Anwan Glover, or Big G, and Chertia Whiting, often also known as Cookie. Mr. Moten, you go first. I saw something came in by email that said you're now, your last name's now Mr. Motown? But please stay within 3 minutes.
Okay. All right. I guess I have to speed through this. I would first like to thank the 80,000 people who signed our Don't Mute DC petition, Go-Go Music advocates, and Councilmember Duffy and his fellow colleagues who are responsible for this hearing, because if it was not for you, we would not be here for this historic hearing. I remember it like it was yesterday, sneaking out the house at age 13 to go to the Masonic Temple, the Washington Coliseum, Roosevelt Senior High School to see Chuck Brown, Trouble Funk, EU, Pump Blenders, and the Class Band on many nights, and it was fun until the night Grandma Flora caught me sneaking back in the house as she was patiently waiting for me with her belt as I tried to creep back through the door that I left unlocked. I remember those Tuesday nights at the Ibex with Backyard. I remember bands playing weekly at block parties across the city every weekend with nobody getting killed, complaining that our music was not noise or too loud. Go-Go music was a major part of DC's economy, from Ward 8 to U Street to Georgetown. If you don't believe me, go ask Princes and Princess in Georgetown or the Hugo Ball Shop, and they would tell you only if they could bring back those good old days. Better yet, ask Ben's Chili Bowl or the Florida Avenue Grill, would they have survived without those people who left the Go-Go's, the weekly Go-Go's, to eat in their establishments before they went home. This was the pre-Obama photo era at Ben's Chili Bowl. Years later, an evil force pushed crack and high-powered guns into our community, and cities once populated by African Americans, Things have never been the same since. Our history, our culture, our very existence will go under attack from that point on. People who meant us no good would get their yellow ink pens out and just focus on the negative, along with the producer of the movie Good to Go, a movie that did the opposite of what the producers said they were going to do to portray our music, culture, and history in Washington, D.C. Then many established Washingtonians left, and the control board came in and took the trades, the music programs out of our schools, and which was a direct attack on the natives in Washington, D.C., and killed prosperity for future generations to come. It was the beginning of the attack of eliminating the direct line to employment, history, and culture, as it was done at the same as it was done in Anacostia. It's the same as it was done to Anacostia Indians who were here before all of us. Better yet, you don't have to go that far back. Remember, we let the developers tear down DC's icon house, Marvin Gaye, in Ward 7. Upon me coming home from prison in 1994, sacrificing 9 years with no compensation, starting when Al Malik and Ceasefire Don't Smoke the Brothers, and it was hard. What kept me from going back to the streets was go-go music. I was a go-go promoter, and go-go paid my bills, doing parties with people like Mike Tyson and Monica, who came to our events at the Children's Museum. Any hip Washingtonian knows about Red Door Entertainment. I remember protesting in the streets at Thomas Circle with Ceasefire Don't Smoke the Brothers, as I was a youth organizer, when we shut down 14th Street with hundreds of youth taking the control board on, fighting these unjust sanctions enacted upon our people of the District of Columbia, and when they threw the babies out with the bathwater. Just think, we'll sum it up?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're the first witness, and you're challenging me on the time, and you got
I thought I
at
would get a
least
pass
another.
because I was the first witness.
Yeah, and you would be at least another 4 minutes with your testimony.
Okay, so I'll sum it up with this. This is a day that is very important to us. Washingtonians have, this music has kept our city alive. And before these great things that happened to our city, go-go was the lifeline of Washington, D.C. Our children, our culture, they deserve this bill. The future Washingtonians who are coming here deserve this bill. And I'll tell you why. Because music is something that brings people together. And part of the problem is when people come to our city, they do not understand our music and culture. So this bill will not only educate the young people who are coming behind us in schools where we're second out, it will also educate people who are coming here. And it also will bring back the economy that go-go once was in Washington, D.C. And it will help keep people off the streets. It will help with crime and violence, and it will help make our city a better place.
Thank you. Ms. Blackwell.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon, council members, my colleagues in music, my DC family, and those representing go-go music in surrounding areas. Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie, for having this hearing and allowing me to speak on behalf of my community and for go-go music on this momentous day. I'm so very proud to be here. My first memory of go-go music is similar to my other earliest childhood memories. The visual is somewhat foggy, but I vividly remember sounds, feelings, and energy. It was a neighborhood block party. The street was closed off. I remember other kids running around playing, dancing. I remember the music, the rhythm, the drum. I remember feeling happy, and I remember having a feeling of home. Since then, I've accumulated countless other priceless memories that are much more vivid. Like Mr. Moten, the first time I went to an actual brick and mortar go-go, I snuck out of the house and walked a block up 5th Street Northwest to Calvin Coolidge Senior High School, which would later be my alma mater, to go to a go-go where bands played in the old gym and cafeteria. And I also remember getting my behind handed to me when I got home that night. The funny thing is, I barely remember the spanking, but I do remember standing in the cafeteria watching the bands play in wonder and amazement at the vibe, the crowd, the dancing, and again, the rhythm and the drum. That go-go beat was the soundtrack of my youth. It was the heartbeat of my city, and it still is. To say that go-go music is DC is an understatement. The godfather of go-go, Chuck Brown, gifted our beloved city with more than just music. He gave us culture. He gave us camaraderie. He unified us through music in a way that made us all extended family under this magical umbrella that we call go-go. In a time where disharmony is being promoted from a place mere footsteps away from where we all are gathered today in our great city, I think it's important now more than ever that we name, uplift, and legitimize the things that bring us together. Making go-go music DC's official music is an excellent way to exemplify the importance of music and its impact on culture and community. Go-go has employed hundreds of artists, musicians, sound companies, security companies, brought revenue to venue owners, and given peripheral opportunities to other businesses and their staff, bartenders, hosts, and others. The impact of go-go music can be felt worldwide, from national hits and its influence on other genres of music where you hear that go-go beat and know that we created it. It makes us all stand a little taller, hold our heads a little higher, and makes us proud to be Washingtonians. Therefore, I urge you all today to pass the go-go official music of the District of Columbia Designation Act of 2019, and I want to express my sincere gratitude for giving our music and our culture the recognition that it deserves. I am go-go, we are go-go, don't mute DC. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blackwell. Big G.
How y'all doing?
Okay.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Middleton, also Mr. McDuffie. I'm gonna speak from my heart. As a little kid growing up in Uptown, Washington, D.C., I fell in love with go-go music. My older brother, which is deceased now, used to play all the tapes, and I just fell in love with the music. My sister, which is deceased, played all the music, and there was just a love in my house when my mother got off from working 2-3 jobs, fry the fish, and this go-go music was always in our living room, on our balcony, on our porch. And just being an uptown Washingtonian, all the brothers that I lost in the street and the people I lost in the street, and with me being away at shows and I come back and I had friends and family members that was killed and I'm still here, it goes to show that our music saves lives. So when you have people that really lose their life and they come and rejoice with our bands and different bands, not just Backyard, all the bands that are here in attendance tonight, where they wear those t-shirts and we sing those songs, and that's the way that they are able to say, okay, this is how we're mourning our friends, our family members. And when I'm out of town, I can step in and do a film in New Orleans, and the official music is the front line and they doing the Mardi Gras. And they asked me, man, we didn't know you was from Washington, D.C. That go-go music is amazing, but we don't know about it. So a lot of people don't know about it, some people do, but passing this bill and making us the official music of Washington, D.C. will be not only a blessing, but it'll be, we can rejoice and say, oh man, this is really our music, Chocolate City, and we walking around and we playing our music when they stop the music on Florida Avenue. it'll never stop the beat because the beat will continue to play. Remember, a brother said to me today on Instagram and say, gee, we don't need the New York Times to say that we the official music of go-go, but Miss Natalie put that piece together and it was an amazing piece. We need to let people know about us all around the world. In Seattle, Washington, I was playing our music in my Airbnb when I shot the movie Process with Pedro Pascal, and they say, what's that music? We like that music. It was a lady out there doing her garden. I said, it's go-go music. And she said, where is that music from? New Orleans? I said, no, ma'am, it's from Washington, D.C. And she said, oh, what else do you guys do? What songs are out? And I said, well, The Butt, EU, you have Chuck Brown. She said, oh, The Butt, yeah, I remember that. So it's like, you know, we have so much more to do. You know what I mean? And what you guys putting this together today is amazing. I think it should be a lot more of my colleagues here today. I think the whole go-go community should be here because you guys took your time out and let us get here today, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Ms. Whiting.
Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson, Councilmember McDuffie, and staff of the council. Thank you for having this hearing for us today. I am pleased that on June 4th, when you introduced this legislation, that all 13 members of the council signed on to it, as it should be. Go-go music was started by my dad, Chuck Brown, in the late 60s, early 70s, and it is no question that this is and should be the official music of the District of Columbia, For it is here where it started, grew, and spread, and has ventured out and all over the world. Many use our music, some show it respect, some acknowledge us, some don't, unfortunately, but Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers have played all across this city, all over the world, followed by EU, Trouble Funk, Rare Essence, just to name a few. Many years ago, I remember when Trouble Funk used to play weekly at Georgetown at the Paradigm, Upper Wisconsin Avenue, which unfortunately now probably would not be allowed, just because it's Upper Wisconsin Avenue and in Georgetown. Many of the band members who have raised their families from playing this music have sent their children to college, purchased homes, lived productive lives, and something that I know that all of you up on the dais would appreciate, pay taxes to this city by doing so. Many folks have learned to play instruments, and many band members have self-taught themselves how to play instruments. Some have taken advantage of music classes offered by DCPS when they were in school, but nevertheless, everyone in the band is a musician. Best part of it all is that it all started right here, and this is worthy to be honored. Currently, I manage a band myself, which is somewhat a healing process for me because I do miss those days of being on the stage with my dad and miss his presence dearly. Many of you on this dais were here when we advocated for his street sign and when he got his street sign, and I wanted him to receive that street sign as a blessing because he was still alive. And I'm so very grateful that he was here, and he was here in this actual chamber when we had that hearing. And he sat here and he shed tears the whole time while that hearing was going on. And Chairman, you probably remember that as well. And so something like that, and having Chuck Brown have a street sign dedicated to him was something that he would never, ever forget. And he used to drive up and down 7th Street after we raised that sign just to look up at that sign on a daily basis. When he passed and we were working on getting the park, you know, it was actually asked of me today, why is this hearing necessary? And I had to tell him, because when we were trying to advocate to get the park, there were people who were against us having the park. And some people may not know that. There were actually people who were in opposition of us having that park. And now look what happens. Every year when we celebrate Chuck Brown Day, we have thousands of families who come out and celebrate and have a good time and who look forward to it. So a hearing like this is necessary because we do have folks who come out in opposition as such a wonderful thing. But I think it is with pride and pleasure to know that one of the best directors that we could have in DC government, Angie Gates, will be at the helm of this through the Office of DC Cable and Television and Entertainment and Music. So that is just fantastic, and I look forward to whatever she will bring to the table in a joint relationship with this council. And I thank this council and our mayor for caring and wanting to showcase something that we can all be proud of, which is our sound, our music, our brand, go-go music. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whiting. I do not have questions for you, but I think you all are making a point, which I think we'll hear more of, which is that this is a stamp of approval, if you will, of our culture. So
Absolutely.
thank you. Councilmember McDuffie, do you have questions?
I don't have questions, Mr. Chairman, but I do want to highlight, in addition to them saying it's a stamp of approval, I want to highlight something that I found was a theme in this first panel. It was a theme about how go-go is a unifying force, right? Which stands in stark contrast to what you hear from some folks who just don't understand. Some people choose not to understand, some people don't do the work to understand. And it's in stark contrast to this New York Times journalist who just this past Sunday said that it was uncommon to meet a Washingtonian native. And she went on to say that it takes a lot for Washingtonians to get excited about the same thing. I was wondering who was she talking to, and what Washingtonians did she know? This first panel, just alone, you know, people get excited about go-go music, and they have for 40 years, right? So this is a part of, I think, this effort as well as educating people about what go-go really means to the District of Columbia. So we got a lot of folks who are lined up. I do have one question though, and I'll let y'all choose who answers it. How would you explain to somebody who's not native to the District of Columbia, who's not been here a while, right? I mean, the chairman's been here for a really long time. He knows about go-go music. I've even seen him dance to it. But
Oh yeah, he loves it.
to somebody who's unfamiliar with it, how would you explain go-go and what it means to the district?
Go-go is family. Go-go is a good time. You can have a bad day at work and get off work and go to a go-go and just run into your friends, run into your neighbors, and just have a good time. You know, you hear that beat, the first thing you do when you hear that beat is start to move. You know what I mean? First thing you do. So when you start to move, you're moving some of that worry out of your head too. You know what I mean? It's something that we have to be proud of. I describe go-go music as almost like a good meal. You know what I mean? And everybody wants a good meal. You know?
I would say go-go is the American dream.
Put your mic on.
Go-go is the American dream. Just think about it. Chuck Brown, when he was incarcerated, was playing a guitar, and he learned how to play in prison. And when he came home, just like so many people in go-go, they use these instruments to give themselves a second chance and to heal people. And I remember when Chuck Brown was going through his trying times, and when Chuck Brown got clean, everybody in go-go started getting clean, right? That's how powerful go-go music is. That's how powerful the Godfather was. And that's how powerful the people who came behind him were. So this is our music. This is our culture. And the last thing I would say, every city that has something that they created, they value it. Right. And they make sure everybody respects it. Right. And it's our duty to make sure this music that Chuck Brown created is respected, it's nurtured, and it's elevated as high as it can possibly get.
Shit, I don't have any further questions. I really appreciate y'all's testimony. Look forward to the next panel as well.
Thank you all very much. Natalie Hopkinson, Keith Robinson, Marcus Johnson Sr., and Justin Johnson.
You can skip Justin Johnson now.
Justin Johnson, is that you? Yes. Okay. Marcus, that's you? Keith Robinson? Okay, so Marcus, that's you. Okay, and Justin is not here. All right, Bo Miller? Is Bo Miller here? Cam Poles with Black Alley? And while you're coming up, let's start with Ms. Hopkinson. And good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me here and for doing this hearing today. I want to talk a little bit about why the need for this legislation and the need for sort of this recognition, and from a policy perspective specifically. But first, I want to thank Julene Broomfield, who is a poet and Howard University senior, who came up with the hashtag Don't Mute DC. She came up with this precise language to describe what has been happening to drums since Africans first landed here 400 years ago. Muting. The people are here, but you can't hear the sound. Muting is a violent and ugly process, but I can also relate to the people who don't know or understand go-go, because that was once me. I arrived in DC in 1994. I was a 17-year-old freshman at Howard. I lived most of my life in Canada, where I was born. I also lived in Indiana and Florida. My parents are from Guyana, South America, so very far from DC. So like many newcomers here, I had no idea what go-go music was or what it meant. And it has been a closely guarded secret, partly because of the banning and muting that's happened that forced the culture to go underground. So in the early 2000s, I was covering the arts as a staff writer for the Washington Post, and somehow I got on Cato Hammond's Take Me Out to the Go-Go email list. Cato had started promoting a book called The Beat by Kip Lornell and Charles Stevenson Jr., and that's how I got let into the secret of the power of go-go. So I later did my PhD studying go-go at the University of Maryland. Then I did my book with Duke University Press called Go-Go Live. And then in April, I partnered with Ronald Moten to create the Don't Mute DC petition, which 80,000 people signed. So for years, go-go has been in a state of emergency, and a lot of the people in this room are responsible for that, and they need to accept responsibility for it. The Council of DC has signed off on policies that have housing and development policies that have pushed out more than 20,000 Black Washingtonians. And then there's also your predecessors on the council. Right here in this chamber in November of 1987, Ward 1 Councilman Frank Smith introduced the so-called go-go curfew law, which barred youth from go-go and other public dance halls. But the law excluded corporate movie theaters and places dedicated to European art forms like ballet and operas. As long as you're a teenager not trying to dance with go-go, you could stay out as late as you wanted. And Malika Smith, who was a 15-year-old daughter of Councilmember Frank Smith, testified against her father's go-go curfew bill right here in this chamber too. So more recently, the city has watched music education be stripped from schools. We've seen the ABC boards crack down on go-go club owners, fining them, mom and pop businesses, and putting them out of business. We've also seen the Metropolitan Police Department brag about its go-go report, which criminalized go-go culture and led club owners to literally turn conga players away at the door. So I'm going to wrap this up by saying that go-go has survived in spite of the Council of DC. Go-go and the affiliated cultural industries have employed hundreds of Washingtonians. It has allowed DC to survive mass incarceration, providing jobs, purpose, and creativity. So I think that this is just the beginning of what needs to be done to push back on the muting that powerful people have done to our culture for centuries. But I'm really, really excited that for the first time in history to see American lawmakers move with the beat and not against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hopkinson. Mr. Keith Robinson. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Robinson. I'm a member of the Backyard Band, and I want to say this meeting is very necessary because I'm going to talk about my experiences. I didn't come here with anything scripted. For my experiences, go-go has saved my life. When I first heard the music, I was a kid, like about 6 or 7, and I heard it on the side of the road off of 295, and I just fell in love with it. And then I would start to hear stories of all these names, like The Godfather, Jungle Boogie, Rock Steady, Steady Eddie. I would hear all these names, and my older brother, he actually played in a band called the Peacemakers, and they had canned good go-go's around on First Street, Crispus Attucks, where I'm actually from, and I wanted to learn how to play. So my brother would take me to the shows with him, and I finally got to meet a guy, Steady Eddie, I went to school with his brother, and he taught me how to play. I fell in love, and then I got my name. And this music has changed my life. This is what I do. I mean, the actual meeting should be, why isn't this going to be the official music of our city, like jazz is to New Orleans, rap is to New York? So this music is powerful. A lot of people, they want to use it when times get rough, like club owners, you know, when they can't pay the bills, lost their liquor license. This is a powerful music, and it's joyful. You know, I'm a living example of what a person can be playing this music. I think I'm a role model. I'm coming to accept my role in this music, this industry. I don't smoke, I don't drink, never have. You know, I'm a father, husband, both of my kids, straight A's, college, one about to go to college. This music is my life. So, and then we got 2 streets named after the legends, Chuck Brown and Little Benny. Need I say more? You know, this music, you know, I had an artist, a multi-millionaire, reach out to me. When he came to this city, they called me. I don't know how they got my number, Anthony Hamilton. He wanted to play go-go. He called me. So I salute all the bands before us. This music, we got to stand strong. And I feel like, you know, this room should be like how some of the clubs are. People should be like standing in line, fight for it. This music is homegrown. It's something we created, something that Chuck Brown created, and we running with it. So, like I said, I'm a positive influence, and this music has saved my life, and I'm going to continue to push it. That's why I'm here. So the real question is, why shouldn't it be the official music of our city? We created this.
Thank you, Mr.
That's all I have to say for now.
Mr. Johnson?
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here today to talk about the music I love, which is go-go music. Council, thank you for having us today. We really appreciate it. It was 1988, 89. My cousins told me they were going to the Capitol Center. Of course, I couldn't go. I was probably like 7. I don't know what the Capitol Center is. So they go to Go-Go Live. My aunts come on, tell me about it. I'm like, man, what is this? What is this? My cousin started playing me music over his stereo. It had nothing to do with Go-Go Live because it didn't come out yet. But I heard the music, and I'll never forget it. It was Pleasure. They had this song, easiest song to play in the world. I learned how to play it. Crazy. I was, to combat this whole thing, I was going to church, you know. Mother's like, don't listen to that music. I done seen people, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Ma, ain't nothing gonna happen. So I learned how to play this song. Then I learned how to play other songs. Essence came out with a song that I love to this day. And it's, they did a play on Hey Young World. I heard this song and it grabbed me, like wouldn't let me go. And to this day, I've been playing this music. That's from the age of 7. I'm 37. So for 30 years, I've been hearing this music. Everywhere I go, I've been in Italy. I had a Backyard jacket on. Guy walks up to me and says, who's Backyard? I said, well, you know, it's a go-go band from Go-Go. Like his eyes lit up. And I'm in Italy. Who knows about go-go in Italy? But the power of go-go has literally transformed over to the other side of the world. My kids are now starting to get into go-go. Dad, you play with this band. I see you on flyers and I see this. It is now starting to get into my generations that's coming after me. I'm thankful for the go-go community for accepting me along with others, because the tradition of go-go is still living, and it won't die. It won't go anywhere. It's homegrown, like everybody said. It's a love affair. Once you hear it one time, you hook. It's like mumbo sauce in DC. You can't you can't eat chicken without mumbo sauce. If you're from DC, it's the same exact thing. It's what we love. It's what we know. It's what we passionate about. It's what Don't Mute DC means. It's what we have come to understand, to know that our music is powerful. I've seen our music stop wars in the club. I mean, I've seen our music stop fights on the street. I've seen my band leader, G, get up and say, "That's enough," and everybody stop. I've seen it. So today, I would love for you all to pass this bill and make this music our own. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Poles.
Yes, good evening, council members. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I like just everyone in here have just an undying love for go-go music and the culture that just goes back to, like, it's crazy, like listening to G and sitting up here beside Keith. It's like at River Terrace Elementary School, Northeast Groovers and Backyard, coming up to our field days back in '86, '87, and playing, and me as a kid just feeling like go-go was everything and it was going to take over the world, and that the hip-hop and the rap thing was just a little cute little fad, you know what I mean? So that's my orientation to it. But I think that this conversation is not even about love. It is about not questioning the right for our art, our culture to exist. Go-go is a particular African-American cultural expression, period. And so the same way you will not argue, you do not have to defend the right for Mozart and Beethoven to be played. The same way you do not have to defend the right of hip-hop or jazz to exist. It's the same way we should not question the right for go-go to exist. We need to do everything in our power to preserve, not only preserve, but advance the culture. It's just that simple. When I think of go-go, I think of, in terms of preservation, I think of the resources that are put into maintaining the Frederick Douglass House over where I live in Southeast. I think of the Carter G. Woodson Home. I think of all of these African-American treasures in the city that we fight to preserve them, but we have support. And in the same way, go-go needs to be supported. I'm glad that Dr. Hopkinson mentioned the ways that, in a lot of ways, this body is responsible for policies that sort of undermine go-go previously, and so I'm very pleased that there are now policies to undo that damage. That legislation needs to pass, and it needs to include very clear language on financial support to, again, preserve and advance. I don't know if this is the appropriate forum to talk about the specific ways that needs to happen, but I mean, at the very least, funding in terms of preservation for a go-go museum, which I think has already been talked about, putting money, like people talking about learning how to play music at Eastern High School or the junior high school bands, which we have middle school now, putting money back into music programs so that our youth have access to learning how to play the instruments that are vital to go-go, and then funding the artists that currently exist, with set-asides to support and ensure that the music and the culture continues.
Thank you, Mr. Poles. All of your testimony is helpful, and I'm sure that's going to be the case with subsequent witnesses. The legislation not only would designate the music as the official music for the city, but also has some provisions with regard to trying to preserve the music. Mr. McDuffie, do you have any questions?
Just briefly, I want to give Cam a particular shout out because he actually reached out to me during the Don't Mute DC movement and wanted to meet with me. Cam and I go way back. I don't know exactly to how far or what year it was, but we've known each other for several years. And he said, we should do something to recognize go-go music. And he talked about a resolution. I said, you know what? We're going to do one better. We're going to put it in as a bill. We're going to make it official. But specifically and briefly, because there's a lot of folks who want to testify. Cam and Dr. Hopkinson. In terms of the economy that GoGo helped to create and sustain, thinking about today and moving forward, what types of things should this council be thinking about to support those efforts, financially or otherwise? If you could turn your mic on.
So I would say thinking about GoGo and including it into tourism industry and making it, so again, taking it out of the secret, making everybody know about it, and so investing more in the hospitality industry and making sure that GoGo artists are part of that. You know, it's very segregated right now, and so this is an opportunity to integrate that industry. I mean, GoGo is it's a multi-million-dollar industry, even at its most imperiled state. You know, you're talking about the sound engineers, the promoters, club owners, musicians, managers, then you have all these affiliated industries like the clothing industries and the cultural industries that have sort of come out around GoGo. And so I think that investing in that means growing that industry and also allowing it to reach a larger market.
I would add to that just direct support to actual artists and musicians, actual go-go bands. You know, the music circuit is moving away from the expenses that come with, you know, live band and all the traveling, where you can just basically get a DJ and an artist. And so, you know, direct funding support for bands to do, for go-go bands to do tours, festivals, things like that, like very straightforward support. I would say set asides maybe in grants specifically for, you know, specifically for go-go out of the Commission on Arts and the Humanities. And then I would say like tax breaks for businesses, the same way businesses were kind of punished for supporting go-go in the past, making it, you know, a positive for them to support and pay, you know, pay go-go bands to have, you know, live music.
Well, I appreciate that. And I just want to say, Mr. Robinson, I think you hit the nail on the head. There are places, venues that leverage go-go music when it's convenient and profitable for them. There were years where they did not allow go-go music to happen inside of their venues, and perhaps it's still happening today. But when it's convenient for them and when there is a profit to be made, they find the time and the resources and energy to support it. So I appreciate you putting that on the record.
Thank you, Mr. McDuffie. Councilmember Gray, we've been joined by Councilmember Gray from Ward 7.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to be here this afternoon for this hearing. I want to thank you for convening this hearing, and I also want to commend Councilmember McDuffie for taking the leadership to move forward with this. And it's one of those days when I wish that all 13 of us, all members of the council, were here to participate in this noteworthy effort that we're involved in. We've heard already some eloquent testimony about go-go music and the fact that it's a unique genre of music that is really DC. And of course, as we've already noted, we can't have a conversation about go-go music without mentioning the godfather of go-go, and that is, of course, Chuck Brown. Chuck was a friend to many people. He was a good friend of mine, good personal friend. His influence on go-go music is often stated, but we have to recognize what a true pioneer he was, and one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. He was good, nice to everybody that he ever met, to the extent that I know. And I think I got to know Chuck pretty well. I actually had the privilege as mayor to honor him by creating the Chuck Brown Memorial Park in Ward 5. As you know, Mr. McDuffie, and I appreciate your support in helping us to get this done. In fact, the person to my right, who is now my chief of staff, she was the deputy chief of staff when I was a mayor. It was one of her key projects to work on to help us make that happen. I think we know that go-go music is larger than just one person. We always associate it with, as we appropriately should, with Chuck Brown, but it is larger. I think as I look at the people who are here in this chamber today, it certainly represents a huge voice in the District of Columbia, And I'm sure when the day for the vote comes, I cannot imagine one member of this council not voting highly vocally in favor of us making this a musical signature for the District of Columbia. So I'm just delighted to be here, to be a part of something that, again, should be done, must be done. We've now set aside August 22nd every year as Chuck Brown Day. I'm sure there's lots of people here today who've been there on Chuck Brown. I've never missed one. I've never missed a Chuck Brown Day and have no plans to miss a Chuck Brown Day. It is a great day in the District of Columbia, and we just need to make sure that we get the word out to everybody who should be there as people who live in the District of Columbia or who lived in the District of Columbia to be a part of the celebration of one of the greatest individuals who was a part of the District of Columbia, and of course that is Chuck Brown. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember, and thank you, each of you, for your testimony. I don't think we got written statements from any of you. If you want to submit, please do, and we'll include it with the report. Thank you. Bo Miller, I understand Bo Miller came in. If you would come forward, Ernest Price, also known as Tone P, Tony Lewis, Antonio Stewart, otherwise known as Tony Spoon. So I have three people there. Krista Joyner. Is Krista Joyner here? Krista Joyner? Oh, Omar Kashif. Is Omar Kashif here? Caesar Bowman. So let's begin with Mr. Miller, Bo Miller.
Now, how you doing? My name is Elgin Miller. I play with the TCB band, and I feel as though we should make this the official music of DC because, like a lot of people said though before me, it is the official music for DC in the same way that we use the music to save a lot of programs in DC, the same way the programs reach out to us, as in like Boys and Girls Club, police departments. When election time comes, when this other situation goes on, we right hand in hand with go-go. So I feel as though at the same token, when go-go's down, we should hold the same accountability like with these club owners and a lot of other establishments that go-go's not allowed in until the rent is due or towards time to get a new venue or the venue is up at the time and everything. Then everybody's reaching out to go-go. Or when it's time to stop a lot of things that's going on, it's like we got to look at a lot of Curtis Street problems and a lot of violence in the streets. We use go-go for that. We use go-go's to raise money for different families. We got a lot of good guys like that. You got your Tony Lewis's, you got the Moes, and you got the other guys like got the Curtis Street programs and a lot of stop the violent programs. We reach out to the go-go bands. And it's terrible to see an artist come from out of town and get treated way better than we do, and we here 365 days a year. It's like you roll a red carpet off of them and they're gone home in the next 45 minutes. But when it's bubbling, let's call a go-go band. So at some point in time, it's like everybody in this room got to feel the same way. When you go to Nashville, country music. New York, hip-hop. New Orleans, jazz. We got things here to show to us that we can't even show them of our own music because we're not allowed in the venues, and it's crazy. But when it's time to raise money for the city, let's call the go-go bands. Let's get them for dirt cheap. Let's bring in a sound system that we already have that we would never let them use. So it's better ways of changing. I feel as though this should be the official music, though. This is our city.
Thank you very much. Tone P?
Excuse me, how you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
Go-go music, go-go is a music genre created right here in Washington, D.C., and not somewhere else. Rap, R&B, rock and roll, all very popular music genres that are examples of genres that started somewhere else. Go-go music started here in D.C., created by the godfather of go-go music himself, Chuck Brown, and to present day has become the staple sound of D.C., thriving and surviving for 4+ decades. There's no other place in the world where you'll see a band play 4 to 5 times a week, consistently bringing 500 to 100 people per show for over 30 years with multiple bands within the go-go genre. My point being is that that's dedication, that's support, that's teamwork, that's community, which is power, our power. Personally, go-go music has influenced my entire life. It raised me. It wasn't just a sense of, it was and is my community. Go-go is the reason I picked up an instrument, which sparked my musical interest of pursuing and joining a high school band, the Untouchables, which ultimately was the baseline to pursuing my music profession of producing and rapping. Because I was raised in a go-go atmosphere, the production I create is heavily influenced by the go-go sound, which personally gave me the tools to develop a unique style within the atmosphere and industry of production. To go-go music, musicians, bands, and the industry itself, thank you. Go-go is the reason me and hundreds of local and mainstream artists, including bands, have connected, and the most notable collaborator, DMV native Wale. Go-go records like Overnight Scenario, Bustin' Loose, Sardines, Drop the Bomb, Skillet, play major roles inspiring thousands of musicians' artistry. Myself and others have had the ability to take those inspirations in producing award-nominated go-go influenced hip-hop records such as Love, Hate Thing, and Bait, and One Thing by Anne-Marie, Crazy in Love, and so forth. These accomplishments are all influenced by go-go music, which again was created here in DC. That kind of history should be on the forefront of DC tourism. Chuck Brown, the godfather and creator of the genre, should be remembered the same way a politician is remembered here in DC in the official history books. The history of music in DC has been long overshadowed by the high-power political arena, and it's about time our genre, our community be recognized with this bill officially. An official song using the beat should be taught and implemented in schools within a 10-mile radius. This will maintain the integrity of our genre, passing generational knowledge, preserving and producing our culture, within our youth. I have been executing similar initiatives for the past 5 summers at multiple schools in DC, including J.C. Nolly, Kramer Middle School, Malcolm X Recreation Center, and Greenleaf Recreation Center, reaching thousands of kids. A program as such should be mandatory in all schools within DCPS, teaching kids how to play instruments in the go-go style of play officially and not just a third-party extracurricular after-school program. Lastly, I just want to acknowledge, if this bill is passed, that this is just part 1 of the execution. Part 2 is regulation, as in who takes the seats in executing these tasks regarding the bill. There's been plenty of prior bills passed producing poor results simply due to poor regulation, as in the lack of distributing responsibilities properly. With that said, I would like to thank Ward 5 Councilmember McDuffie and his office, Silas and Cam, for including the Don't Mute DC team to testify on behalf of this important piece of legislation. Let's ensure we collectively not allow DC go-go to be muted again. Thanks.
Thank you. Tony Lewis, and I think I saw you last night at Voices for a Second Chance. That was a good event.
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Councilman McDuffie, for your leadership. Councilmember Gray. So I don't want to be redundant. So much has been said so far. But my life, go-go has been ever present. I don't remember life without go-go. Grew up on Hanover Place and in my neighborhood, whether it was out of people's homes or cars, and definitely having live performances on our block, at our block parties, people from Chuck Brown himself to Trouble Funk to, of course, Backyard. It's been a staple. And this music has also been important regionally. I remember in high school, I went to Gonzaga, and I never forget going to schools like Houghton Arms or Bullis, where Backyard was playing. So this influence or the love of this music is not just about here in the District of Columbia, and definitely not just in Black communities. This music is, if you experience it, you'll fall in love with it no matter what your culture is. And so I sort of want to frame my remarks in talking about where we are as a city right now. And we import about 1,000 residents a month. And people from all over the world move here, and they bring their culture. They create spaces and create initiatives and events to celebrate their culture. But sparingly do they get introduced to our culture. With it being the nation's capital, I feel like people see it as just that. And they look past the locals and the natives and what we represent and what we love. And go-go is at the center of that love for this place. Is representative in so many ways about who we are and what we are. Part of the go-go experience is to be acknowledged, your neighborhood, your community, your friends. We party to it, we celebrate to it, we mourn to it, we celebrate our sports teams, we cheer to it. it's something that galvanizes and brings people together. And so this bill is so important as a testament to that. It's already the official music in the eyes of the natives. But this bill will institutionalize go-go in a way that it hasn't been. It will make it, in my mind and my hope, a part of everything that the city does, from marketing to cultural things. But I want everybody in this room and in the city to understand that this bill is also, in my mind, a testament to also preserve those that have participated in practicing the culture. Because without them, the culture dies. And as we've seen DC having the most intense gentrification in our country, there's a need to, just like the music, preserve and protect the natives who participate in the culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Bowman?
Good afternoon. How y'all doing? Good evening. Go-Go has done a lot for myself. Me coming out of the Northeast neighborhood of Ward 5, troublesome teenagers just going through a lot. Group of guys put us together and said, man, since y'all got a lot of energy into the streets, how about y'all put a lot of energy into the music? So with that being said, we created our own band by the name of Third Dimension. And, you know, they started teaching us about the business aspect of the game. They started teaching us about the music, the culture. And what we seen was us just being teenagers in a neighborhood full of a lot of negativity, us actually being able to learn the actual aspect of just business without even having to go to school. Just us just being into the business side of just us knowing what's going on in the streets and like, nah, we need to be over here doing some positive things. So I've been doing go-go since about 12 years old, all the way up till now. I'm 35 years old now. I actually work at a school now, and I introduce a lot of go-go. What other place you can go to in a club setting where you can just go in and you can just yell, scream, and no one would look at you as if you were doing something in a crazy manner. They just look at you as if you're having a good time, but it's a therapeutic method to, you know, just understand how you can de-escalate a lot of things that's just going on in your everyday life. That's what go-go is to me. When I'm going through things, instead of me going home and listening to sober music, I like to go out to the club and just hear the music, the live feel, the energy. That kind of picks up and motivates me. With my kids at my school, I try to implement a lot of go-go. We actually have a little go-go band. We ain't got no name, but you know, we try to just teach them the actual culture of the go-go, teaching them what congos is, teaching them what the genre of music is, teaching them what our music is on a daily basis. We have a program called RBG. It stands for Raising Black Gentlemen. One of our community service was to go down to Chuck Brown Park and actually clean it up. So we do that at least once or twice out the month. We go down and then we just make sure that we preserve our history. Make sure that we letting them know that this is something that y'all are going to have to show your kids and your other kids and other kids. So these teenagers have definitely grasped to that situation. And like, once again, it's a therapeutic setting for them and it helps them out a lot, just understanding the culture of music. I'm from one of the younger generations of the Go-Go's, but the younger guys, so I have my own radio show too called Bounce Beat Radio. And on the radio show, we talk about a lot of different things that's going on amongst the culture, just understanding or showing them on our level that we can teach them more so less from an educational standpoint about the music. And passing the bill will be us just, you know, just adding a little bit more flavor to what we're doing on an everyday basis.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Mr. McDuffie, do you have any questions?
No questions. Just want to thank you all for coming down to testify and putting that on the record. This is immensely helpful to the process that we engage in as a council. And for these voices that are really leading the charge and have been doing this work for a really long time, to be down here means a lot to me as the person who introduced the bill, but also somebody who's born and raised in this city. So I appreciate you all being down here. Truly do. Thank you.
Don't get up yet. Councilmember Gray, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I want to thank all four of you for coming down and testifying at today's hearing. And I want to thank you for the work that you've done to try to proliferate go-go music as much as we can around the city. It was disgraceful what we saw when somebody was told to cut the music off. You know, just a matter of, you know, weeks, months ago, and is now precipitated, catalyzed us, you know, being where we are today. You know, we invested $2 million in creating Chuck Brown Memorial Park, But I think what we really want to do, and I know Chuck would be ecstatic, and that is that we were able to proliferate all across the city, go-go music, something that he created, something that we know he was the father of. And how do we, I'd like to know from each of you quickly, how do you think we can make sure that all these people who live in the District of Columbia now accept, go-go music as a part of as the official music of the District of Columbia? We can go out to the ballpark and, hear almost any game, especially if the Nationals are winning, busting loose. They play that readily out there. I don't even know how many people in the stands even understand what busting loose is. They hear the song. But our job, and each one of us, our job is to be able to make sure that we find a way to communicate this is the official music of the District of Columbia. And I'd just like to hear quickly from each of you, what do you think we need to do in order to make that happen?
With me personally, how you said the bust and loose thing at the ballpark, that's a good thing. Like I feel personally that a lot of sites and memorial sites and a lot of like museum sites, tour sites in DC should have something that includes something about go-go. It's nowhere in the world like when the Redskins win or the Wizards win, you should have them type of songs playing. Even if you got to reach out to the band and get original type of music or get some music for that. And any type of festival that's in DC should always have go-go involved. Because I've seen a lot of festivals go on through the couple of years. No disrespect, you got a lot of performers in the genres of music that have nothing to do with the city.
You think the Redskins will ever win another game?
I don't know, we still gonna play the music though.
I would just add that I think it's super important to what Mr. Miller just said, to have go-go everywhere, right? But I think what's more important is to also have natives everywhere. So if I'm at a game and Bustin' Loose plays and there's no natives in the stands, or I'm in a restaurant and Bustin' Loose is playing and there's no natives present, nobody can explain the music. So again, back to the preservation of the people that know it best, I think our focus needs to be there, because if Washingtonians are in spaces, and I think we have to be very honest about that, we're not in enough spaces participating in a way where we can teach, right, people about our culture. So someone can move here and never ever, or not, I'm not gonna say never, but not enough have interactions with Washingtonians that can explain things. So what we get is sort of this cultural appropriation where I see mumbo sauce in like cool restaurants, right? But there's the waiter can't really explain to me what mumbo sauce is. It's just like a blend between like ketchup and barbecue sauce, right? There's no cultural perspective on that. So again, we need to ensure that natives are around.
How you doing, Mr. Gray? I really believe it's many layers to that, to this answer. I sit and think of like, incorporating our music within tourism and tourist locations, because DC is the #2 tourist town, if not #1, in America and in the world. But I know specifically in America, and it's a lot of people. It's a transient town. It's a lot of people coming in and out. And if that, if our music was on the forefront of tourism here in DC, a lot of people would take that with them back to their native lands, and a lot of go-go would reach a lot of places that it hasn't been, if it was incorporated in tourism. Also, investing into the music within the DCPS curriculum, because that's also generational. It also allows us to teach our knowledge, teach our beat to the youth, generational, and then you have, kids growing up, aspiring to be in bands like how it was when I was growing up, because you still have kids in bands, but a lot of the older folks are trying to get the kids to do it, versus like it needs to be implemented within the system so they can grow up with it, So it's many layers to it, so that's just two things. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Quickly, because the time's expired.
Okay. Oh yeah. Just basically piggybacking on what he said. Just basically showing the culture when people come into the city to understand that this is something big. It's not just a regular sound. When I go down to New Orleans, they try to take us to different clubs to actually experience the jazz from that standpoint. So actually opening up and letting some tourists be able to come to different venues to see the actual culture and the music so that they could experience what we experience on a daily basis. When I actually go out of town and I explain the music, they cannot believe that we pack so many people in these clubs on a consistent night, and it's the energy is there. I tell a lot of people, you cannot experience the go-go from a YouTube or anything like that. It's a feel. You have to be there to actually see the energy and feel what the call and response is and different things of that nature. So opening it up so that people can actually see that will actually bring more, recognition to the sound and the music.
I appreciate the comments of all of you, and especially agree with you about making it a standing part of the curriculum in our schools in the District of Columbia. That way our kids will know what it is and what it represents without taking a chance that they may find out and they may not find out. So thank you all for your comments.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony. Krista Joyner, Omar Kashif, Geronimo Collins, Adolfo Salim, who's the commissioner with ANC HC07. Is Commissioner Salim here? Jason Lewis. Kevin Blackman. Is Kevin Blackman here? Kevin Blackman? Excellent. Let's see, ma'am, you are, all right, we'll begin with you. And good afternoon. Just hit the button at the base of, you're on.
Good afternoon, good evening, distinguished panel, gentlemen and ladies. Here as a representation from both standpoints, as a fan of go-go and also as a singer in a go-go band. Growing up in this area, it's one of the first things that I can remember. Just everything about my childhood in regards to music, entertainment, social aspects has surrounded around what we know as go-go. Being bigger than just a place where music is played, it's been a cultural standpoint, something that we've lived to be able to do. I can remember when there were serious age restrictions before we had a whole bunch of younger bands per se, and I couldn't wait to be a certain age to get to those places and experience those type of shows. I've been singing all of my life. Go-go was a part of what I do. It's a part of my history and my makeup. Without it, I'm not quite sure where a lot of people would be. So I'm kind of just going off the top. I love and breathe music, and go-go is a major, major aspect and part of that. I'm going to let my comrades kind of get in there because I think everybody's kind of said what we need to say, and I think everybody kind of knows the importance of the music, of the kids in this area, the youth having somewhere to go, having something to be a part of, understanding the fundamentals of it, and basically making it more of a distinct sound, or more of understanding how it's developed, how it's played, all those different kinds of things. So, moving along.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Geronimo Collins, and I'm presenting testimony as a creator, an urban griot, a keeper of black culture, and a go-go music fan. I'm the host of a podcast called the All the Fly Kids Show, and for the past 3 years, I've talked to culture creators in DC, New York City, Atlanta, and New Orleans about their work and contributions across several industries. So being present at this hearing is important to me because it would be otherwise just disingenuous. And to that I say this: go-go music is black culture, and the social culture created by go-go music is one of many within black music, all derived from a DNA code reaching back farther than most history books will ever mention. Go-go, along with the nickname Chocolate City, is still an identifier for those not residing in DC, but who've spent considerable time in the city or around people from the region who are fans of the genre. And I've lived in and traveled to many cities in this country. And when I tell them the proximity of DC to where I grew up in Oxon Hill, Maryland, the first words out of their mouths are Chocolate City, and you be listening to that go-go. So really quickly, just want to talk about the time that I spent in New Orleans. I know New Orleans came up quite a few times this evening, but I recently spent 10 months living in New Orleans, and during my stay, I befriended and made the acquaintance of numerous people and used my podcast to learn about New Orleans from a native perspective. And the city's built a bridge between its world-famous tourism and all of its music, whether it's the hip-hop-driven bounce music, the brass-heavy jazz, or the Cajun flair of Zydeco. And on any given night, you can see anything such as a retrofitted school bus turned party bus traveling down Canal Street with tourists and sometimes residents listening to bounce music that's blaring from the open windows. And you can see brass bands made up of black teens and early 20-somethings playing for crowds each night on the corners of the French Quarter. And even juveniles, back that ass up, part of my language, will still command people from all races in New Orleans to stop what they're doing to enjoy a quick break from reality. And so the musical landscape of New Orleans is one that its residents and visitors have come to expect. And if the leaders of New Orleans were to treat its homegrown sounds like a convenient afterthought, there would be a greater socioeconomic divide and less revenue for the city as a whole to enjoy. Along with that, Washington, D.C. is a global city now more than ever. So according to Destination D.C. 2018 statistics, D.C. had 21.9 million U.S. visitors and 1.9 million visitors from abroad, with the majority of those visitors coming for leisure and vacation. The United Kingdom had the second largest number of DC visitors from abroad last year, and that's a region that's no stranger to go-go music. Two of go-go's founding bands, Little Benny and the Masters and Riz and the Boys, they experienced chart-topping success out there in the UK in the 1980s, and London was such a hotbed for go-go music in the 80s. The BBC had made a documentary called Welcome to the Go-Go. So these here are just a short list of examples to encourage DC to work with its creators in preserving go-go music and culture, not only as a time capsule or source of revenue, but also to show pride in the city many call home. Chocolate City is more than a namesake of DC's past. It's the place where Black Washingtonians created a sound that saved more lives than it took, and enabling many of those lives to share the sounds across the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jason Lewis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be super brief. Councilman McDuffie, I might need a doctor's note because I'm supposed to be somewhere else right now, but I skipped out, and with all of these cameras here, I think I might get in trouble, but that's neither here or there. But just briefly, I think economic inclusion as well as social inclusion are very important, you know, especially when we're talking about this genre of music, because I've watched people put kids through college. I've watched people buy homes. I've watched people make some of the most important purchases of their lifetime behind using this music. And I think it's very important that we recognize that on the scale of how important it is. But I just want to tell a quick story, and I think this is my testimony when it comes down to education. And I tell everybody this story. Go-Go was instrumental in my education, and I have to say thank you to Sauce and Big G. I was in college, and I didn't take a music class too seriously, and I needed this class to pass. And also Reggie Polo Burwell, rest in peace, from TCB, he was also instrumental in this. I had a final that was due. I didn't go to class often, I just keep it real. And I had a final, I did my syllabus, and it was a final. I called G, I called Sauce, I called Polo, and those guys were there for me the next morning when I had to go to class. I picked Sauce up 6 o'clock in the morning. We went and got congos from Polo's studio. G met me at my school. We went into my class. I didn't even have to speak. G spoke for 2 minutes. Sauce at the congos for 30 seconds. My teachers were so starstruck, and my classmates as well, that I didn't have to speak at all. The teachers just said, "Hey, you got an A, you good." And I walked out. I said, "Hey, you sure?" And I left. So, you know, I always tell people I owe them for the rest of my life because they invested in my education with go-go music. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to say that we really need to push forward with this bill. And there could be many more me's that have stories such as what I just said about go-go helping me with my education. I work with kids, and a lot of times we go by and I look at the kids and they're not too sure who the pioneers are, because go-go kind of like took a hit early on. And I think now it's more important that we get behind and put our kids in on the forefront so that they can keep this music alive and keep pushing forward, because it's instrumental to our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Blackman? And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll read a statement. Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson, Councilman McDuffie, and all who serve on this committee. My name is Kevin L. Blackman, professionally known as Uno Boss. I'm a Southeast Washington, D.C. native, D.C. Public School alumni, and longtime D.C. resident. Just like everyone else, go-go has been part of my life since I can remember. Being raised with my brothers who are much older than I was introduced to go-go music by way of PA tapes that were blasted in my household. Aside from the tapes, my older brother, the late Alvin Blackman, was a drummer in several go-go bands in the 80s and 90s. Throughout my teen years, I knew of no other genre of music that had the power of go-go music in this city. Some of the biggest rap artists could come to town and the crowd would not respond to them or fully join the party until the go-go bands played. From the free shows at the recreation centers to the sold-out concerts at the Formative Capital Center that we watched on Beta and VHS, as far as I can remember, go-go has been king in this city. But for most DC residents, go-go music is not only a sound or a genre. It served as a safe haven and a village for those seeking refuge from a city under siege where DC got its name when go-go was rising. Most of us turned to go-go bands as an alternative to the street life for our early years. Bands practicing in our parents' and grandparents' basements, they were shielded from the violence that were in the streets because during those hours they were in band practice. They knew they were safe. And these were our impressionable years. So it's like, if I chose to be James Funk versus the Kingpin in my neighborhood, that's what go-go's value is this city. And I was blessed, I'm gonna go off the cuff now. I was blessed to be able to work with the godfather of go-go. And Chuck Brown, he literally at one of the lowest parts of my adult life, he gave me a shot. He didn't know me from nothing. I was introduced to him through Chucky Thompson, another go-go alumni who went on to do big things in our city. And what we take pride in is the fact that go-go gets treated like, oh, it's some mistress music, or it's something that we can't really talk about, like a side piece, whereas it should be seen as something we should brag about. Like, go-go is our main chick. You know what I mean? Go-go is our girlfriend. Go-go is our prize child. Like, we took go-go to the Grammys. You know what I mean? That's the music Super Bowl. Name another place on earth where a man can create a sound and play it for so long, up into his 70s, and still get to the Super Bowl. Like, we should be bragging about that as a city. When I say we, I mean us, the fans and the people in it, as well as the councils. Like, the city officials, y'all should be looking at us like, that's my baby. Because we're gonna love you as go-go is your baby, we're gonna love you forever. We ain't gonna ever turn our back on you. A lot of genres come through here. A lot of people have spoke about the venues that don't call until the red ink pile up. But what if you hugged us before the ink piled up? What if you found that dollar and understood the value of us economically? Like, Don't Mute DC down at 14th and U. What if you guys took the time and did a report and said, let's see how much money was generated in this 3 hours that we had backyard right here on Club U's porch. That way you're able to see our value. That's what they're doing with this music census and the people we met with at Georgetown University. I went to that, but even the inclusion of some stuff like that, it's like a lot of times, I feel this is a good situation because a lot of times we go into the rooms and somebody's found out somebody's having a conversation about us. Have you ever walked in a room and somebody was talking about you? You know what I mean? But invite us into the room. Appreciate what we bring to the room, the value of the music.
Thank you, Mr. Blackman. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony. Mr. McDuffie, do you have any questions?
No questions. I want to say thank you to the panel. I want to say, Krista in particular, you said something that struck me. You said you couldn't wait to be of age to attend the Go-Go's. I want to thank you for waiting to be of age, because I did not wait to be of age when I was sneaking up in the black hole well before I was of age. But that's the power of Go-Go, though. That's the power of Go-Go. So I appreciate that. And real talk, the solutions that y'all are coming up with that have been on some of the other panels is what this is all about, right? I appreciate the personal stories. It helps to sort of amplify why this is so important, but also weaving in those solutions and things that we should be thinking about as elected officials. Those millions of people you mentioned, the Destination DC often goes out and recruits and tries to promote conferences here in the District of Columbia. They should be getting some of this stuff when they come into the city. I got one of these bags that my staff gave to me about the Capital City Go-Go, right? And so you got the NBA Developmental League team called the Capital City Go-Go. When we're giving stuff out, we should be promoting our homegrown genre, right? Because that economy that used to exist, I think, while the music is still strong, I feel like there should be more strength in the economy and the people it's lifting up economically, right? There should be a lot more opportunities for people to benefit from this music. And I'm interested in figuring out how we do that as a city. So thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. McDuffie. Councilmember Gray?
I want to thank the panel, each of you, for your testimony. It helps to reinforce, I think, the message that's been delivered by others who have testified today. And I hope that when this legislation is passed, that each of you will become a part of the effort to help us make sure that people know that this is the official music of Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony. And again, if you didn't give us a written statement, I did get a couple from you. You have 2 weeks to provide one, and we will attach it to the report. Adolfo Salim, Commissioner with ANC 8C07. Salih Williams, I think I pronounced that correctly. Salih Williams. Nico Hobson, who's with Go Win Media, and Jacqueline Manning, who's an ANC Commissioner from 5C04. Who do I have? Damian Jackson. Is Damian Jackson here? Damian Jackson.
Yes,
Andre Lee. And Mia Brown. Mia Brown. Calvin Henry. I see people moving, but I'm not sure they're who I'm calling. All right, we'll begin with Commissioner Salim.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chairman, Councilmember McDuffie, Councilmember Gray, on the opportunity to come before you today and represent the members of Single-Member District 8C07. By day, I am a commissioner. By night, I am a DJ. And growing up, I remember watching Spike Lee's, classic movie, School Days, and hearing EU, and knowing that that was a distinct sound that I had never heard before growing up in New Jersey, growing up amongst a wide variety of music. But I can honestly say, until I saw that movie, I had not heard of go-go. But being a DJ and being able to travel throughout the country and being in the military, so getting to see different parts of the world, every part of the world has a distinct sound. We know in Chicago, we hear house music. We know in Miami, we hear bass music. We know in New Orleans, we hear jazz. We know when you go into Jamaica, Queens, you're gonna hear dance hall. And so what do we hear when we come to DC? I think that like many other cities, there is a distinct sound, and there is something to be proud of that sound, because it not only tells you where you're at, but in the music, you can hear the history of a community. You can hear the history of a people. And especially for people of African descent, we deal with the spoken word. We deal with oral tradition. And when you hear music, something such as go-go, you get a chance to hear the stories, you get a chance to hear the pain, you also get a chance to hear the successes and the victories of achievement, especially when we talk about Black music, because oftentimes it's our pain that we've seen in the blues, it's our triumph, our ability to overcome in spite of that we've seen in classic Negro spirituals. And so when I hear go-go, I hear success, I hear people getting out anything and everything that ever impacted their life, and they're doing it in a way in which the community can celebrate. And so when I see the opportunity to not let it just be something that's just floating out there, oh yeah, that's that DC stuff, but no, to put it into legislation and also be a model of of law and also be a model of what can be done in other cities, I think it's important that we take this legislation and make it law. But to take it a step further and to be able to document it and put it into the archives, because many times we see folks come in and they make history, but we don't know who the history makers are. And our youth will get a chance to miss out on a lot of that history. So doing this, it preserves that history and it preserves that culture. But I also think that being able to put resources into a museum, being able to put resources into some place where people can go and they can look at something and see themselves. When I walk into the Smithsonian and I see an exhibit on DJs, on hip hop, I see my life right there. And it's important for the history makers here, past and contemporary, to be able to see themselves and see their life and see something that they can be proud of for their community. So I urge the legislative body of the District of Columbia to press forward and to make this legislation happen. And I also encourage the legislative body to find the resources to put into institutionalizing this so that we can see an edifice constructed to honor the legacy of those that came before us and to help us tell our story. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I want to say good afternoon to all Councilman McDuffie, Councilman Mendelson, and Councilman Vincent Gray. This afternoon, I'm extremely gratified and privileged to be able to speak on the hearing of the Go-Go Music District of Columbia Designation Act of 2019. But I have decided to come up with a new name for the bill. The new name of the bill should be Go-Go Documentation Beats Conversation Act of 2019. When you speak of go-go, you speak of a lot of things. You speak of generation sacrifice. But let's clearly define what sacrifice is. Sacrifice is the art and the act of giving up something in order of its preservation. In this case, this bill will help document the sacrifice and commitment of 4 generations of Washingtonians to the field of arts and music. Another definition of sacrifice is the loss of something that you give up, usually for the sake of the advancement of a bigger cause. So let's be clear. There's not been a whole lot of hugely monetary success, but the successes through go-go music has been through other means. The success has been playing a big part in defining and molding the culture and the sound for a city for generations to come. The success has come through knowing that your music has helped folks get through many of tough days. The successes have come through knowing that our music has been the soundtrack to every celebration, cookout, graduation, and block party for over 40 years. The success has also been provided for the fact that we have provided a musical safe space for people to help escape their daily realities of a forever changing but non-inclusive new Washington, D.C. The successes has come from generations of families who still connect through our homegrown music. Through Go-Go's inception, it has been a tumultuous, rocky, up and down love-hate relationship between the media and politics. But what cannot be debated is the contribution and the cultural impact that this music has served to the District of Columbia over the last 40 years. A mentor of mine, the great Maurice White from Earth, Wind & Fire, once told me that music is the world's grandest communicator. And the one thing go-go has been able to translate and communicate to a lot of people is what it is to grow up and live and define and feel what Washington, D.C. feels and sounds like. Our homegrown music is the personification of everything that describes Washington, D.C. It is aggressive, it is thought-provoking, it is driving, and it also continues to move through a syncopated pace such as Black Washingtonians have been doing over the last 40 years. In New Orleans, you have jazz. In Seattle, you have grunge. In Jamaica, you have reggae music. In Chicago, you have house music. But what cannot be disputed or debated in Washington, D.C. is you have go-go music. Gentrification is now changing the landscape of Washington, D.C. It is still not clear what our place will be at in the future of Washington, D.C. Today, this bill will be submitted as taking the first step into fully documenting and cementing the place that go-go music has served over the last 40 years. This bill will be the eternal flag that shall forever be waving. It will be the musical tree that will be forever rooted in the vibrant spirit that can never be evaporated. Chuck Brown had one phrase. He said, when you learn to love yourself, you can love everybody else. So Councilman McDuffie, I want to say thank you for loving yourself and thank you for loving everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Lee.
Good evening, Chairman Mendelson, Councilmember McDuffie, Councilmember Gray, my council member in Ward 5, Councilmember McDuffie. I appreciate you bringing this bill to the forefront. I'd like to start off naming some clubs. I'm a 60-plus year person here, resident in this city. So I've seen go-go from the beginning of go-go. I'm gonna name some clubs. The Chapter, the East Side, RSVP, the Black Hole, Masonic Temple, Breezes Metro, and this one I know not too many people gonna know, the Maverick Room. Okay, here we go, that's right. So I'm gonna start off with a little history that I know of. The godfather of go-go, Chuck Brown, and I'm gonna use a boxing term, is the undisputed sole founder and creator of go-go music, a genre deeply rooted in funk and soul that he developed in the early 70s. And the only, let me say that again, the only form of expressive culture to originate in the District of Columbia. I don't know why we're here, but you know, the only form of expressive culture to originate in the District of Columbia. In 1978, Chuck and the Soul Searchers' original composition, Bustin' Loose, took the #1 spot in Billboard. The song was used in the Grammy winner Nellie's 2002 smash hit, Getting Hot Up in Here. All right? I'm just, you know, I'm just bewildered why people don't know about go-go here. You know, it should be known all around this city, and it should be spoken around this city. That's the problem. It's not spoken around this city. As Councilmember Gray said, that whole dais ought to be filled with council members. This whole audience ought to be filled with people that celebrate go-go. So, you know, Councilmember Gray will tell you, and Chairman Mendelson and McDuffie will tell you, I got a game tonight. We down here for this, you know, and it's got to be done official, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Henry.
Good evening. How y'all doing today? My name is Calvin Henry. I'm a member of Rare Essence. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that Councilman McDuffie has given us an opportunity to speak. A lot of the go-go community shuns away from these things, and the reason I'm here is just to tell you face-to-face thank you, and personally to the council, thank you. I think this should be done. I think this is a no-brainer. Go-go has been a part of my life since I was a kid. I went to Hampton University, graduated from Hampton University, also had a band at Hampton University. I came home, I joined Rare Essence. As you know, the history of Rare Essence is 40 years of music, nonstop, consistently. Now, if y'all can grasp that, they have played 3 to 4 times a week for 40 years and constantly put out music. That is Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame numbers. I don't even know if you can name Rock and Roll Hall of Famers that can say that they have that in their repertoire. So I'm just happy to be here. I hope we can get this done. I work for Court Social Services. I work with kids, juvenile probation, and the kids are looking for something to hold on to. They're from here. They want to know the culture. All they see is what they see on television, and what they see on television is not exactly their culture. So they adapt to that. Growing up, I remember DC had a certain look, a certain swagger, a certain persona that wherever we went, you could tell a person was from DC. And I think go-go played a big part in that. When we lost some of the go-go culture here, that's when we lost some of our youth and some of our identity, and some of our identity in the city. So I'll be very brief. McDuffie, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. The council, thank you all so much. As a member of Rare Essence, I'm speaking on behalf of the band. We're very appreciative. Anything that we can do to make this happen, we're here for it. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. I do not have questions for any of you. Mr. McDuffie?
Thank you right back to you for being here and carving out time to come down here and put this on the record. I really appreciate it. I know you go way back with one of my staffers, Silas Grant, to Hampton. And I try not to hold that against y'all as Hamptonians. But I appreciate you being here. Obviously, Natalie, we go way back to like the Sandbox, and you've been doing an amazing job, and your career has been very bright. So to take time to come down here, I think demonstrates how important this issue is for the District of Columbia. Commissioner, really well articulated. I appreciate the solutions as well. I will tell you, Mr. Lee, aka Smokey, the Maverick Room, although it was well before my time, I never attended. This council, and thanks to Councilmember Grasso, who's also living in Ward 5, we did recognize the Maverick Room in the form of a resolution in 2015, and we also designated the 2300 block of 4th Street Northeast between Adams and Bryant as the Maverick Room Way. So I don't know if you've seen the signs, but we do know about it, and it'd be great if a lot more people know about it. And that's one of the things that could be preserved and showcased as we think about how to recognize go-go music in District of Columbia. So I appreciate you bringing that perspective to this conversation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. McDuffie. Councilmember Gray?
Thank you very much for each of you for your testimony. Let's keep delivering that message that it don't mean a thing if it don't got the go-go swing.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you again very much. Ivan Cloyd, Benji Little, LaRonda Wingard, Pierre Harps, Monique Diop, who's a commissioner with ANC 8D04, Ron Williams, Brenda Jones, Michael Bailey, Tim Howard, Jimmy Jenkins, Natasha Kelly, James Woodard, Anthony Lorenzo Green, Malik Dope Drummer, okay, so I'm not sure who's who. Are you Ivan Cloyd? Pierre Harps. Let me see, you are Malik with your drumsticks, and you are, okay, Mr. Harps, we'll begin with you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate you having us here, having this this hearing. My story starts from birth, being born in DC, raised in Maryland, right on the outskirts, Eastern Avenue. Go-go has been my life from since I was born. My heartbeat stays in the pocket, and my veins pump mumble saws. That's what you know what I'm saying. So I do shows and things. I'm a poet, and I used to go around, you know, trying to set up shows in different areas, different venues, and you know they don't always welcome go-go, like you know it's been previously said here. So I wrote a piece, a poem about it, and this happened maybe a year ago. And then all of a sudden, you know, they turned the music off on Florida Avenue and everything, and it just made it seem like, wow, you know, like it was already hitting me, but then I never knew I had to, you know what I'm saying, go into action to, you know, fought this this movement and what we are as DC. I just, you know, want to give a little history to what we are, who we are. We were the seeds planted in the soil of oppression and greed. We were choked by the weeds, suffocated by the weeds, couldn't get higher even when inhaling the weeds. The well was never well here, but our strength is in replenishing our souls whenever the well does run dry. There is an array of sunshine that our hearts can't recreate, mimicking the sun that has never shined as bright as it shines on our natural sides of the world. That's why our hair is curled, locking in our melanin, our nose wide open, inhaling nature's resources. We will continuously bloom, just like there's roses that blossom from the concrete that are vibrant and red. You may think they've been misplaced, but they're just like you and I, misled, missing their home, missing what feeds their soul. But here comes go-go, drums from brothers, roller toms from brothers, congos from brothers, strings from brothers, shaking the earth of our ancestors, revealing that we aren't just brothers, we are the niggas, the kings, the queens, the genius and the strength of all the earthly wonders, stepping off of our throne to give you sockets, pockets, and bounce beats. This is DC, and we are go-go, so forget your noise violation codes. We are supposed to be here. Redskins and global warming must have you confused along with the weather. Why did you even come here? We are the beauty, fashion, music, and mumble sauce. In your research, did you read our stories? Didn't the man that constructed the parameters remind you of me? In your trip to the house of the leader of the free world, we're the part of the reason why it's even standing. And you say you admire America's progressions. Well, do you take pictures of the first black bank, the first black high school in passing? While you sit on Lincoln's lap, ask him when he freed the slaves, why he couldn't free your mind and your spirit. Listen, can you hear it? Our ancestors are in a joyous state whenever we play it. So let the beat get into you. If you can't shake your butt, then tap your toe. But don't ever disrespect us while we're paving our streets with gold, with our music. Because this is DC, and we are go-go.
Thank you. Ms. Jones. Brenda Jones.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda H. Jones.
Hit the button again. On.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda H. Jones. I'm a native Washingtonian, a DC resident, founder and executive director of the Parklands Community Center for 35 years, and a lover of go-go music. I'm here before the DC City Council to appeal to the members to vote in favor of Bill 23317, the go-go official music of the District of Columbia. This would require the mayor to implement a program to support, preserve, and archive go-go music and its history. Go-go music have been wrongly associated with violence over the years. There has been those with political power who have systematically tried to eliminate go-go music from clubs, bars, and lounges in DC. There's a song by a band, I can't remember the name, but the title is "We're Not Going Anywhere." That explains hundreds of thousands of go-go fans' feelings. Go-go music are unique sounds of heavy percussions, drums mixed with guitars, keyboards, horns, etc. That's a recipe for happy music, happy sounds. Washingtonians and others have been grooving to these funky beats for nearly 50 years. And the godfather of go-go, Chuck Brown, and other bands have been invited to share our musical treasures throughout the world. Washington, D.C. official bird is the wood thrush, and our official flag colors red stripes over red bars on white background. Our official tree is the scarlet oak, We must have an official music, go-go. Oh yes, this is a go-go, there is a go-go exhibit at the Smithsonian Institute. I ask that you vote in favor of Bill 23-317. Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie and other council members who endorsed the bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mr. Woodard.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is James Woodard, singer and songwriter of one of the younger bands, Future Band DC, and I'm an active member of the urban and go-go music community of Washington, D.C. I've had the honor and privilege of performing at many establishments and events in Washington, D.C. to contribute to the footprint of go-go history, which is why this legislative proposal is near and dear to my heart. The percussive rhythm of our sound, go-go music, has been imitated and revered all over the world in popular music culture. The call and response vocal cadences made popular at live go-go performances have become the template that has been mimicked from many world-renowned artists. This illustrious sound of go-go music has been the soundtrack that has mobilized Black, brown, and destitute people for many different movements over the course of the last 40 to 50 years. From the DC riots of 1968 that protested racial segregation while still moving to the sounds of a young guitarist by the name of Chuck Brown, to present-day movements such as Don't Mute DC and Long Live Go-Go that protest against gentrification and the silencing of a historic culture, all of which were held on the corner of 14th and U Street. Go-go music is our voice, and the District of Columbia will be making a huge disservice to its natives by not providing programs that aid in safeguarding something as rich and authentic to DC culture as our very own homegrown genre of music. So I ask the powers that be, as you move forward in your deliberations and processes to review Bill 23-0317, Go-Go Music of the District of Columbia, Designation Act of 2019, that you simply remember us, the people on the front line that live and breathe every day to push our culture forward, the people that are born and raised on the sound of our music, the people that work hard to continue to support, preserve, and perform at Go-Go's throughout DC, and the people that continue to influence the world. Please do remember us. Thank you so much, Councilmember McDuffie, Chairman Mendelson, and Councilmember Gray. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woodard. And Mr. Drummer?
How you doing? How you doing? Thank you for allowing me to come and allow all of us to speak. And yeah, go-go is definitely my identity of just how I started. I got my sticks right here in my hand because that's how serious I am about it. It's changed my life. It's changed a lot of our lives in the room, and that's why we're here, right? And I just want to get straight to the point. I just feel we should be activating it more. When I sometimes I would teach little workshops here and there. I did one at the Folklife Festival, and it was a lot of, I'm just gonna be honest, but there was a lot of more white type of a crowd, and they were very accepting to go-go. They didn't even know what it was. They just knew the rhythm. They knew that feeling that they felt, from the experience, and that's what everybody's been saying about the experience that we need to keep pushing, from education, from tourism, from just publicly anywhere. I feel we even need some more of the, I'm not sure what the name of it, but it's just like the historic of what building used to be or what used to be. We need somewhere some of the first go-go's took place at, or some places for the tourists to go and feel I think I can feel the ancestors right now playing a bounce beat or playing a socket. They need to feel and try to imagine as much as possible. And I think the big reason why you said accepting go-go, it's hard to accept something you don't understand, right? So the new people that are coming in here, they don't really understand even the syncopation. I have to break it down in a 4/4 measure, which is a time signature of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Then I'd be like, cat, socket. Then I'd be like, oh, a bounce beat, and when they're doing that, and it's got that metronome stuck in their head, you're programming them to understanding this is what our music is. This is the signature. This is the identity of it. They can feel it because they feel it in their bodies and their souls. So it's about more activating them through the school system, through the tourism, through TV production platforms, vlogs, and making just any platform with all the money and resources and funds that y'all have and the power. give it a chance, give it more of a chance. That's what I gotta say.
Thank you. Thank you, each of you. Mr. McDuffie, do you have any questions?
No questions. I just want to thank you all for coming down to testify. I really appreciate it. I know you all have been really laboring in the trenches for a really long time, and this is important to be able to have this in this really official way to be incorporated into the record. James, I know you've been helpful to me in my office, meeting with us, talking with us, and so I want to thank you all for your testimony. Thank you so much.
Before you get up, Councilmember Gray, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. I just want to thank you all for coming to testify and for your commitment to the music and commitment to the city. And I hope, just following your testimony, I'll call you Mr. Drummer, that we'll increasingly get people to visit the Chuck Brown Memorial, which has a great history associated with it, and certainly helps people better understand the music to the extent that they don't. So thank you for your testimony, and keep promoting it. Thank you.
Real briefly.
Because I just want to say one more thing, because like we all was talking, and like we really need to activate like soon, like really need to have something that's activating them, like multiple things, because like the kids, I remember when I was growing up in a go-go band, like that also helped me get out the way of like being in the streets more and stuff. And like, is right now the kids want to be rappers, and it's a different facade that's being put in the rap. That's the same way that's being put in go-go, that negative part. You know, we have to clean up the identity of go-go, and that's on our part. Like everyone that's testifying, we gotta also make sure if we are provided the platforms and stuff that we don't F it up. You know, I'm talking just our people, you know, right now, which ain't no color. I'm just saying our people that are in the community of everywhere. If y'all do, and everyone, this money is being poured into it, we can't mess it up. So we need to have also the security measures and everything. So like, it may take a while, but so the youngins don't be like, hey, what hood you from, whatever. Like we need to have them there, and we need to have the right cleanse of go-go being dispersed into it as well. Not just saying, I just put it here. It might have a negative stain on it. We gotta make I see the youth, and I'm there, and I can see how it can incite a riot, or it can incite people coming together. I can see both of it. I'm not even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? I'm young. You know, it's been crazier than that, I'm sure. But yeah, it's just got to be a balance of both sides coming together, the people of this community of go-go and everybody, and also the people that are in power. And the information needs to be dispersed more to the younger crowd, because people still don't know. Like, look how much people is in here. People don't know what's going on. I found out on the 28th, and I signed up right in there. You know, I just came back from China. You know what I'm saying? I taught them some go-go, and they loved it. They didn't even know what it was. I was all the way in Shanghai, China, started in Chinatown, D.C., and they was like, whoa, what's this, that? Hey, And they was like, it sounds like something we know, like their drums. It's tribal, it's spiritual, it's all that. So on both sides, that's it. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, each of you again. And a reminder, if you want to submit a written statement, you've got 2 weeks to do so. Patrice Lancaster, is she here? Dewey Green. Ronald Whaley. Wesley Holmes. Raheem Devon, come forward. I'll repeat some names I'd called earlier. Nico Hobson, Damian Jackson, Mia Brown, Ivan Cloyd, Benji Little, LaRonda Wingard, Monique Diop, Ron Williams Jr., Michael Bailey, Tim Howard, Jimmy Jenkins, Natasha Kelly, Anthony Lorenzo Green, Patrice Lancaster, Dewey Green, Ronald Whaley, Wesley Holmes. Please. Mr. Devon, we'll begin with you, and then Ms. Kelly. Hit that button. You're on.
Good evening. Good afternoon. So I don't really have any notes prepared, so I'm just gonna kind of speak from the heart as a musician, fellow musician. You know, I'm here in solidarity, you know, with the go-go community. Most importantly for the youth.
I understand that you know, I think that there's often a disconnect between the elders and the youth and understanding the culture and you know, understanding the importance of it. But I feel that, you know, as a musician and as somebody who's a humanitarian that's, you know, doing active work in all the different wards with my Love Life Foundation, I think that it's imperative definitely that I think there's a connection where we can use the arts and the music and the culture, most importantly the go-go culture, to, you know, build with the youth and become more engaging with the youth, you know, as an educational tool, as a tool of healing, and edutainment, as I like to say it, you know what I mean, in terms of education and entertainment, and kind of involving both of those activities. So, you know, again, just here in solidarity, speaking on the culture, you know, as a world traveler, somebody who goes abroad, I just got back from London and Paris, was in Japan over the last few years. They have a go-go night in Japan, by the way. You know, I did. You know, it's definitely, you know, when you think about certain cities, when you think about New York, for example, and the culture of hip hop and where that was conceived. When you think about New Orleans, you think about brass band. You know, even up the road in Baltimore or Chicago, the Midwest, you think about you know, you have steppers music or house music, which is just part of the culture. Very much so. I think that, you know, go-go is part of our culture, and you know, when you 2,000 years from now, you know, 500 years from now, you know, when people go back on the history books and the time capsules, and they talk about Washington D.C. or they talk about the DMV area, and what was the culture and what was the heartbeat of the people, regardless of your walk of life, whether you're elder, whether you're youth, whether you're black, white, Asian, if you spent enough time here in this area, I think we can all agree that the heartbeat of the culture for the DMV is go-go music, you know? And so, you know, me as a musician, I'm going to stand with my fellow musicians, the youth, what have you. I've even went so far as to start a go-go band, you know? So, and it, you know, it's more so, again, to stand in solidarity with the culture and to help preserve it, you know, because we're making history, you know, and thank you for your opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kelly.
Hello, my name is Natasha Kelly. I'm a vocalist in a couple of go-go bands in the city. I go by the name of Miss Lady. And what go-go means to me, other than what, you know, my brethrens and sisters have said previously, which I assume, I wasn't able to hear everyone speak. I assume there's we have one thing in common, is the love for the music. And when we travel other places, we see that they have a music, you know, and why not here? You know, just like Mr. Raheem said, you go to New Orleans and you have the Zydeco. You go to the Caribbean islands and you have the Calypso. You go to Jamaica and you have reggae, things of that nature. So, you know, why not DC? And when I think of go-go music, and I kind of think of James Brown and his how he thinks of things. And in the movie, he said, you know, it just feels good. What is that? You know, everybody's playing a drum, even though everybody's not playing a drum. But if the saxophone player, he's saying, what are you playing? He say, he playing a saxophone. He's saying, no. He's playing a drum. So if it doesn't, it might not be right, but it sounds right, so then it's right. And that's the thing that go-go music does. It just feels good. It's a feeling, it's a culture. And and what it means to me is more on a personal level, you know, like the gentleman said previously, it kept him off the streets. They're kind of taking music out of the schools. It's not as popular as it was before. So everybody wanted to be in a go-go band. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to sing, but it wasn't really popular for the females. So we didn't see a lot of females in go-go bands. So it was like, oh, well, we can go see it, we can be entertained, but we can't do that because there's no one doing it. It's almost like the NBA and the WNBA, things of that nature. So it means a lot for me because it gave me a voice. Even though I sung, it was like, oh, you sing? You know, so after all of these years, I'm singing, and it's like, oh, so when you get in a go-go band, it's like we are national, we're local, like national artists, like Raheem Devon's, he's a national artist. You know,
And we global. Go-Go is global.
You know, but like here, we're like celebrities. It makes you feel, it's a feel-good music. And if it wasn't for go-go, I wouldn't have my spouse, he's in a go-go band, my kids, they love go-go. So it's kind of like, go-go is everything to me. It kind of I'm not saying that saved my life, I'm not saying that, but it created, it created a lot in me, and it showed me things that I didn't know I had, So I appreciate you guys for having us and the opportunity to speak to you guys about, what go-go means to me.
And I'd just like to add in from an economy standpoint, it provides jobs. Stability, for not just for the musicians, but the venues, the individuals that work in the venues, definitely, again, from an economy standpoint, from an aspect of like creating a passageway or gateway to the youth to be able to more identify with them, and creating a platform where, artists and, our children's children can, use music as a tool, not per se just, for uprising, but to bring positive change, as rappers and singers, but most importantly, songwriters, we're poets. So we have the ability to enlighten and uplift our people, And when I say our people, I mean people just across the gamut, whatever your walk of life is. I think it's whether you a country music lover, a hip hop music lover, a soul music lover, a go-go music lover. I think we can all agree that the world would probably be in a really different place without music, and creating that sense of escapism. I say it all the time. When we perform, that, for those 45 minutes, 2-hour sets, however long it is, again, whatever genre of music, you're creating a sense of escapism where you don't know what somebody's coming in dealing with, whether it's depression or ailment or what have you, but we do have the power as musicians, as go-go musicians and artists to use this platform in a positive manner and to just, to continue to keep that torch burning for what our ancestors created, in terms of Chuck Brown and Little Benny and Polo and so many other musicians that we've lost, due to timely demise, So I think it's pretty safe to say that, again, it's the music, it's the heartbeat of, not only Washington D.C. but the DMV area as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Devon. Mr. McDuffie, do you have any questions?
No questions. I want to thank you all. I think it's fitting that the last panel, before we get to our government witnesses, two artists. One who's in a go-go band, another who's been achieved huge success with R&B, and I really appreciate that. I think it speaks to sort of how go-go weaves itself through multiple genres, but was homegrown right here in the nation's capital. So thank you all for coming here to testify. I do appreciate that. I also want to just let folks know that after we finish with our government witness, we will have a Black Passion Experience band downstairs playing a little bit too. So we want to give folks this opportunity officially in here, but also if you haven't heard it or if you love it and you want to hear some more, we will have the band playing downstairs in a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. McDuffie. Thank you, each of you. We will now call Angie Gates, who is the Director of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment. Good evening, and when you're ready.
Good evening, Chairman Mendelson and Councilmember McDuffie, members of the Committee of the Whole, and staff. I am Angie Gates, the Director of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, OCT FME. I am pleased to provide testimony supporting Bill 23-317, the Go-Go Official Music of the District of Columbia Designation Act of 2019. If enacted, this legislation would designate go-go music as the official music of the District of Columbia. It would also ensure that go-go always has a home in DC by creating a program to support, preserve, and archive go-go music and its history. Go-go started in the mid-60s and 70s as a term for a club where young people would unite in their love for music. Today, after decades of providing the sound of the city, it has been transformed into a movement of beats, culture, and activism. A young musical pioneer named Chuck Brown began laying the foundation for a new and innovative sound in the District of Columbia in the 70s. Since its inception, go-go has defined musical culture in the District of Columbia in a way that cannot be compared to any city in the nation. With its conga beats and other percussion sounds mixed in with blues, salsa, R&B, hip-hop, and other genres, go-go continues to have a historic mark on the nation's capital. It has been the soundtrack for the lives of district residents for decades. Go-go has not been limited to the Billboard charts. Thanks to award-winning director Spike Lee and his groundbreaking film School Days, go-go has also made it onto the silver screen. A scene from that film was captured right here in DC with the band Experience Unlimited, known as EU featuring Sugar Bear, on the stage of the 930 Club. Collaborations with musicians such as Jill Scott, Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play have propelled go-go into an international spotlight, taking its unique sound beyond our 8 wards. Go-go is not just music, it is an experience that is woven into the history of DC. It is the common thread that connects generation after generation. It is no wonder that when the very existence of go-go has been put to the test in recent years, the community pushed back. More than 80,000 supporters signed a petition under the hashtag #Don'tMuteDC in order to keep the sound of go-go alive. Thousands of artists, advocates, and music lovers took to the streets to voice their support for go-go. The momentum from the go-go community has also been at the forefront of the movement to support DC becoming the 51st state by lifting our values and defining the very essence of what it means to be a Washingtonian. At OCTFME, we value the contributions that go-go music has made to the district. In September 2018, our agency premiered Straight Crankin', a go-go documentary, which was produced by our Emmy Award-winning team. The film, featuring band members from past and present, highlights go-go's evolution from its roots to the bounce beat and its global impact. Year after year, several artists have taken center stage during OCTFME events, such as Rare Essence and Belladonna, entertaining friends and neighbors on Freedom Plaza during the district's Emancipation Day celebration. Most recently, the Black Alley Band performed during Mayor Bowser's 202 Creates kickoff event. In addition, OCTFME has highlighted go-go through DC Radio and special programming on the District of Columbia Network, DCN, and District Knowledge Network, DKN. On DCN, we highlight go-go videos on the program Display and open our studios for interviews and performances on our show, The 202. On DKN, we feature Learning with Go-Go for our youth. OCTFME will always support the go-go community in DC. It is for these reasons that we support Bill B23-317. To properly archive go-go music and documents referenced in the bill, independent resources and infrastructure will be required. We are dedicated to doing our part to ensure that the tradition and the culture of go-go continues to thrive and live on for generations to come. In conclusion, I'd like to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for her commitment to the go-go music and ensuring that go-go remains a vibrant part of DC culture, and the members of the council for their partnership in this effort. I'd also like to thank the DC community for all that it does to keep the culture of the district alive through the sounds and rhythm of go-go music. Thank you for allowing me to testify today. I am happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, Ms. Gates. Thank you for your testimony. So you are testifying on behalf of the executive, and when you say we support the bill, that means that the executive is supporting the
Absolutely. Absolutely.
bill. And toward the end of your statement, you say independent resources and infrastructure will be required. Do you have a sense of what the cost would be?
So I think, I don't want to give a premature number, but what I can say, if we're going to do something, let's do it right and let's do it great. And if we're going to go, let's go big, is the way that I look at it. So I do 100% agree with capturing this history, capturing memorabilia, capturing those rare moments and opportunities to have the history told. So from an infrastructure standpoint, if we start collecting the vinyl records, you know, IDs, birth certificates, things of that nature that will require like a climate control type room and some additional security. But in addition to that, we want to put go-go not only on the national and global forefront that it is, but we also want to have a place and utilize educational tools that can be disseminated at DCPS and other charter schools.
So to go all in, you would need a climate-controlled facility, storage facility, or, yeah, like a storage facility, and then also money for acquisition?
So typically when you inquire historic memorabilia, it has to be in a specific air control or climate control area. Now, of course, from a video production standpoint, we've already started capturing footage and audio recordings through DC radio and things of that nature. And that's something that we can maintain currently, and that's something that we have maintained. But we want to preserve any form of historic records so it can be maintained for generations to come.
And how many individuals would be needed? One or?
Well, as many as we would, you know, could possibly
100?
have. I think at the end of the day, of course, we are outnumbered from a creative standpoint. We did an initiative, Mayor Bowser kicked off 202 Creates, and that's when I really started to get a sense of how large the creative community existed, particularly in the area of go-go. So for us, we want to maintain as much customer service as possible. I believe you go to the community. I believe in activating, doing pop-up activations in the community, and that will require, you know, manpower as well. Most people that are creative, it's not in the confinement of the four walls of the office space. It's going into the studios. It's doing impromptu concerts, you know, in the neighborhoods. So I definitely believe that we should look at that from that perspective.
Okay. And then would it make sense, if we're talking about archiving materials, for it to be through the DC archives?
We would definitely have a conversation with the Secretary's office, but based on the testimony that you've heard from the witnesses, there's a lot of memorabilia. There's a lot of things that we can capture. I mean, we're talking about something that hasn't been obtained for the early 60s, 70s. So definitely we have to start somewhere.
So if the bill's implemented, where do you think it would be, where do you think the mayor would delegate the functions? To your office or the archives, or?
Yes.
You said
So
yes to?
Yes, our office, OCTFME. We're the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment. And so music is one of our specialty areas, and I definitely would want to take the lead in that efforts.
Mr. McDuffie, do you have questions?
I have lots of questions, Mr. Chairman, but you'll be pleased to know that I'm not going to ask them today. I think a lot of my questions were answered by your testimony. I'm really pleased with the tone and tenor of your testimony. It sounds like you all are really supportive of this.
Oh, absolutely.
I know that something like this obviously will take resources. I appreciate you recognizing that, and the chairman asking questions that I had planned to ask about what types of resources it might take. I will say, earlier we heard testimony, I think you were here, from Professor Natalie Hopkinson, who's the author of Go-Go Live, The Musical Life and Death of Chocolate City. She noted that the bill could prioritize direct support for go-go artists by establishing a fund for artists to pay stipends to perform, by establishing go-go residencies at DC government agencies, libraries, and recreation centers. Just generally, this might be the first time you're hearing it, but what are your thoughts on those types of things being incorporated into this effort? And if there are any existing resources, that'd be great. I know that you know how to make lemonade out of lemons. I think you're one of the more dynamic directors in the government, in that you've spent your tenure really elevating the work that we do at I always try to say the name of your agency, the Office of Cable, Television, Music, Film, and Entertainment.
Right.
And so I've appreciated that. 202 Creates and some of the other initiatives have been really great, and I participated in some of them. But that specifically, I've really appreciated what Natalie has brought in terms of some of those types of ideas. What are your thoughts initially on something like that?
I think those were some really great ideas. She made some very valid points. The MLK Library is going to be reopening soon. There's some media resource areas at the facility, at the library as well. But I think she made some very valid points. And one of the things that she touched on, and a few other people, is the educational component and the necessity in it. In addition to that, I do think that from an after-school program perspective, we can further, deliver in that area to get more engagement involved. Music is the universal language, and we need to start with go-go.
Right. I will say this, in government, there are frequently lots of pretty solid ideas and pretty solid initiatives, but this is also, when you talk about budgets, although there's a really large number, $15.5 billion for FY 2020 budget, and people hear that and they think that it's $15.5 billion to spend on new things. It's not. A lot of that money's already, all of the money's already been spoken for the most part. So when it comes to resources, and I appreciate the chairman raising that and you answering that with the information that you have available, I really want to make sure that there's a commitment on the part of the executive. I know the mayor is no stranger to go-go, having grown up here in the District of Columbia, but that you will work with the council and trying to identify resources, and that this doesn't get lost in the shuffle of trying to figure out how to take from this and give to that, because obviously there are a lot of people who are hurting in the district, a lot of initiatives that have been prioritized, rightly so. Affordable housing, workforce development, public safety are all important, but this is the nation's capital.
Absolutely.
We can walk and chew gum. We can figure out how to get things done when we want to, and I think this is an effort where there's as close as consensus as you will get on an issue. So to hear that there's a commitment is important. So that commitment is there.
The commitment is definitely there.
Okay.
Without question, the commitment is definitely there. Okay. And one of the things I just kind of want to add as well, go-go has touched my life personally. Music is in my DNA, but to just keep it real, when I was affected by Hurricane Katrina in 2005 and lost everything, house, clothes, everything, even a friend. I remember our neighborhood coming together, and you heard New Orleans mentioned time and time again. Houses destroyed, no kitchen. Of course, someone found a grill, and we started, cooking. But we started cooking, then in the far distance, you heard the band performing, you heard the beats, you heard the horns, and that slowly started coming down the street, and then you just saw neighbors coming out, and it became a second line, which became part of the culture. I remember getting on a plane coming back to DC, and I'm like, I'll never find that again. It's not possible. It's that it factor. I'll never find that again. And a few weeks later, I went to my first go-go, and there it was. I was putting it in the pocket, doing it all. So, talk about joy, passion. Like, this is just not work. I'm passionate about this. The administration, the mayor, we're all fully supporting this. Go-go changed the lives of the generations here, but it changed my life and put me on a pathway of joy when I went to my first go-go after having that experience in 2005. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm thankful to the mayor, to the council, and particularly to the go-go community for touching my life and just keeping it going.
I appreciate you sharing that personal story. That's really impactful and really powerful. I don't have much more to add, Mr. Chairman. I will say, you know, in the interim, if there's something that can be done within this current budget, we'll work on some future things, but there are folks like Donald Campbell, Nico Hobson, and others who have a lot of things that they're trying to figure out how to store. And we want to lose that, right? And who knows what could happen in between now and then. But my hope is that they continue to press on and with their own resources, trying to really preserve some of the things that I think, you know, we should help them out with. So that's a thought to leave you with. Maybe there's something we might be able to do in the interim, coordinating with them, Dr. Hopkinson and others, to try to really provide that support, even before we get it in some new budget in the future.
And we'll definitely continue to support as much as possible, continue to put go-go on the forefront, hire musicians, have their voices heard, not only here locally, regionally, but nationally. We will definitely do our support.
Okay. Well, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie. So I see two aspects to the bill. The first is to designate go-go music as the official music of the district, and the second is to deal with how do we put in place a program within the government to preserve, to collect and preserve the history of go-go music. So that's how we're going to approach the bill. I have no further questions for you, Ms. Gates. Thank you for your testimony and your commitment. I'm going to remind everybody the record will close in 2 weeks. That is 5 p.m. on November 13th, 2019. Anybody who wishes to submit a statement for the record, including those who testified orally but didn't give us a written statement, you have 2 weeks to do so. With that, this hearing is going to conclude. Mr. McDuffie, you want to mention again, there's...
Black Passion Experience. Go downstairs, you can experience it today, live and in person.
Get your go-go
Thank you.
on.
The time is 6:32 in the evening, and this meeting, or hearing rather, is adjourned.